Uncomfortable, isn't it? Transgressive art by definition seeks to manipulate one's understanding of social and personal constraints by addressing scandalous and often shocking subject matter and imagery. Through the years, social structures and boundaries have had to adapt in order to accommodate an ever-evolving world, a world partly influenced by continuous waves of new artistic expressions. Art has always been an important outlet when questioning or outlining social issues, so as it can tackle delicate, sensitive or touchy subjects in a direct manner which can both help to familiarise and alienate viewpoints and objectives by using themed content. The 19th and 20th centuries saw the rise in a great deal of transgressive art movements such as avant-garde in the late 1800s and the graffiti scene in the early 1970s. The concept behind avant-garde relates primarily to the artists, musicians and creatives whom explore content that is experimental in the eyes of conformist society, so as to highlight, underline or bring to the forefront issues that are not normally discussed. The first application of this French term can be fixed to the opening of the Salon des Refus in Paris on May 17, 1863, which was organised by French artists whose work had all been rejected from the annual Paris Salon of officially sanctioned academic art. By questioning the very moral fibres and underlying principles of society, the avant-garde movement began to attract publicity from different societal angles. It was met with appraisal with such works as Walter Benjamin's 1936 classic essay entitled The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, whereby he said that the technique of reproduction detaches the product objects from the domain of tradition. By making many reproductions, it substitutes a plurality of copies for a unique existence, and in permitting the reproduction to meet the beholder or listener to his own particular situation, it reactivates the object reproduced. What Walter Benjamin meant by this was that by combining these two processes, it decimates tradition, which is the opposition of the contemporary world and renewal of mankind, i.e. a transgressive advancement. From this, new artistic movements began to arise. Movements such as surrealism and Artaudian practice that sought to dissect social themes using the power of obscurity and emotional propagation. Olivier de Sangas uses both a surrealist and Artaudian approach to artistic performances as a method of engaging with the audience on a deeper level than just visuals and sounds. In his infamous piece, Transfiguration, he sought to bring life to the piece by immersing himself amongst the clay and paint, allowing for the sadistic undertones of the disjointed unnatural movements to captivate and transgress into a message of struggle and hardships. By using disturbing and somewhat fearful imagery, it transcends from regular artistic methods which help to identify his work amongst the boundary of Pushing Artists collective. This collective includes artists such as Marina Abramović, Yoko Ono and Alexander Venschow, who in early 2014 ate a portion of his own cooked flesh in a bid to rattle authoritative and social boundaries. While interpretive art can be questionably defined, graffiti art conquers the notion of transgression by attacking a barrage of social issues. Law against order, vandalism against appreciation, and mindlessness against mindfulness are the most common issues that arise when addressing graffiti as an art form. Although graffiti may be completely unmissable when visiting a city such as Bristol, in many parts of the UK and the world graffiti is completely outlawed, making the act of actually producing graffiti art a criminal offence.
I got caught for it about 2 months ago. I was on my way to work in the morning. I just didn't think anything of it. I was doing a tag on a bin and a lamppost. A police car went straight past. I ran down the hill because I sort of knew what was going to happen. but he caught me on the other side of the road. He took my name and my address. About a week later, 2 weeks later, I had a knocking on my door at like 7:30.
Professor Snyder, a sociologist of Barash College in New York City, spent over a decade following and documenting the city's graffiti artists and graffiti hotspots in order to understand and apply sociological theory to the ever-growing subculture. Professor Snyder explained, in its purest form, graffiti is a democratic art form that revels in the American dream, and although I'm not trying to make an argument that graffiti is an art and not vandalism, it still remains one of Soho's selling points and therefore creates an economic market for the area. In the past, graffiti had always been tied to youth, urban and lower class cultures, creating a negative hysteria surrounding the art form. Nowadays, due to the acknowledgement of revered artists such as Banksy and Sweet Tooth, graffiti, especially in Bristol, is beginning to become a gentrified and deeply embedded part of everyday society. As a result of this, businesses are beginning to use graffiti as an interior and advertising strategy, with restaurants such as Meat Liquor and even McDonald's having changed their decor of their establishments to be a definitively more urban customer. Although art exists in a constant state of reinvention, the notion of art in all forms is something that will forever be ingrained within modernity and Western culture for one definitive reason: money. As long as there is wealth to be spent, stored, or splashed in artistic expressions, there will ever be a continuous cycle of new exploration and classics revisited, which in itself is a transgressive act, the act of spending habit transgression.